Hi, and welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast, co-hosted by Abby Fearing, the Badass Breastfeeder, and Dianne Cassidy, IBCLC.
Hey, welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. I'm Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder.
And we are going to talk about gassy babies.
Let's talk about farts.
Yes, the topic everybody loves, right? Because
this would be popular in my house with my two boys.
My God.
All they want to talk about are farts and buttholes all day.
Buttholes.
That actually walks around going, peed in my pants, buttholes.
Oh my God.
Just like anywhere, everywhere, all the time. Butthole. I'm going to eat a butthole.
Ew.
Yeah. And then he's like, I peed in my pants. I peed in my butthole. It's all day.
My God. So
sometimes it's so funny when we were down at this, my father-in-law's memorial last weekend. But there was a whole bunch of family there, and there was young adults that don't have kids yet, and then Exley's they're talking to him, and he's like, buttholes, and they're like, you can see their face, they just don't know what to do. They're like, oh, okay.
Oh my God.
I'm like, don't get with the program, people. Buttholes are funny.
Yeah, come on. It is. It's funny.
My butthole
but
aside.
Life with a 4-year-old. Yes, absolutely. Where anything goes. And that's kind of how it is with babies. And I always say this too, because babies sometimes will have the loudest farts. So loud. Yeah. And mothers will look at me and be like, I swear that was the baby. And I'm like, I know. This is the only time in their life where they can get away with it. And it's totally excusable. Now, in our house, ever since my niece, before I even had kids, my oldest niece, who is now 24, getting married in the fall, when she was little, they used to call them sparkles. And my niece would be like, I sparkled. And then that just would, now everybody in our family used that, all the kids. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we still use that in our house. But then my stepkids kind of picked up on it too. But now, and of course they were older, but they'd be like, did you sparkle? My kids were 5 and my stepdaughter was 25 when my husband and I got together. So it was but now every time somebody sees something that says sparkle on it, we have to giggle. We're children, and everything out there right now is glitter. So,
yeah.
And my husband was at Christmas time, somebody in his office wore a t-shirt that said, I don't sweat, I sparkle. So he actually went up to her later and told her what we think sparkles are. And she vowed to never wear that shirt again. It was just, but with babies, this is a big deal. I cannot tell you how many times mothers will contact me and be like, the baby is gassy. What do I do? All the time.
Gassy babies are really freaky for moms.
Because you think that there's some way you can control it.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, you always think something's wrong.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then it's then the baby's freaking out and you're like, oh, maybe he has to fart. And then how do you get it out? Oh, my God. And then it becomes a whole week-long obsession.
And they want you to be able to do something about it. And they're like, I feel so bad because he's gassy. And they're blaming themselves. It is not your milk, ladies. I swear. It is not your milk.
Oh, I know. That's the other thing. Oh, my baby's allergic to something and they're allergic to my milk. They're allergic to something that I ate. That's
God.
Yes.
So common, but no, that's not the case. Your babies are just gassy.
So this is just normal, right?
It's normal, and some are gassier than others, right? But some humans, some adults are gassier than others.
Yeah, they are.
Some kids are gassier than others. It just depends, and especially in our house, if it's not coming out one way, it's coming out another way. Right. And you have some babies that burp really well and some that do not. And some that will just fart really well and some that will not.
Yeah, and you have gases in your body. I mean, everybody does. This is all normal stuff that goes on in your gut, right? And you're right. You either burp or fart it out. It's just how it happens. But with babies, they're brand new and their systems don't really quite know how to do all this yet.
Right. And it's weird. Everything feels those sensations to them are so raw and real and electric, and they just don't know how to move the gas, and they don't know what that feeling is, and they just can't figure it out. So it takes them a little time to figure out all right, what is this and how do I get it out? But in the meantime, they communicate it to you by crying.
Right.
And it's, we don't want them to feel like that, but there are some things that you can do to help them along. And I know one of the doctors that I work with, she said one time, and I thought this was interesting, but she was like, I swear there's just this one stage where babies are just really gassy. She's like, I don't know, like what, but it just seems like there's this one point in time, just like you see that colic thing. Oh, they're colic during this month to this month. And this is when they cluster feed during these months. And this is when they have their sleep regression during these months. It just seems like they hit this stage where they're just gassy and there's just not much you can do about it.
Yeah. They're probably taking in a little bit more milk. Mm-hmm. Their body's doing a little bit more, digesting and creating of, gases.
If they're crying,
general,
then they're taking in air with the crying.
Yeah, right. And
if they're like gulping milk, then you can hear that air, as well. If the latch isn't good, you can get some gas in that way. And sometimes moms do notice that. They'll be like, I know the latch isn't very good. I can hear them gulping air down. And those are things that we can work with and fix. We got to figure out, okay, is it the latch? What's going on with that? Sometimes like a lip tie or a tongue tie, if the baby's not making a really good seal, then that will cause that air to go in and moms will recognize that they have more gas. One thing that I do see a lot that moms will say to me. So if you're feeding your baby, and maybe you remember this with when Exley or Jack was little, you're feeding them and they get really, really wiggly. And they're still nursing, but they're like wiggling and they're moving all around and they're trying to pull their legs in. And moms will be like, are they trying to get a letdown? What's happening? Is there not enough milk in there? I'm like, no, they're gassy. Just take them off and burp them and put them back. Like that's that wiggly, that pulling their legs in where they're trying to compress their abdomen. That is a gassy reaction. And we just try to burp them, try to get that gas out somehow.
Yeah, and then a lot of people, because it taps right into that insecurity we have about our body's ability to make milk and to be able to do this. And people think, oh, they're frustrated because, my milk's not coming out fast enough. Or I'm not making enough milk and they're hungry and they're reacting to that. Mm-mm. And that's not what's happening.
No, that's not what's happening. They're just gassy. We just gotta help them get it out, but it's definitely it's not your broccoli that you had last night,
right?
Or anything like
and
that.
And not to say that not to say that there aren't breastfeeding problems. I'm not saying that there never are, but when they're gassy, it's not your milk.
No,
and it's not that it's not coming out fast enough. It's not that you're not making enough. It's that they need to fart. They need to sparkle.
They need to sparkle. Yes. But now, what did you do to help get it out of your kids? Anything special?
No, well, I would do the rubbing a circle on their belly.
Mm-hmm. That's always a good one.
Or the bicycle,
Yes.
Taking their legs and doing the little bicycle motion.
So
a warm bath.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, like a warm bath.
Which just kind of helps can help, relax them a little bit. Because all that, if you're trying to fight with a fart. It makes it harder for it to come out. And so a warm bath can help you just relax a little.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of those things actually ever worked.
Sometimes the distraction is good though.
Yeah, exactly. The distraction. Because it's just going to take time for it to come out, and that's just what has to happen.
Sometimes what I'll do with babies that I see, if I really feel like they're super gassy, is I will take them and sometimes I'll put them on I'll lay them on in my lap. And I will do the bicycle thing with them. But instead of bicycle, I'll push up both their legs and push up and kind of push towards the right side of their body. And that will help to push some of that gas out a little bit. But you have to be a little bit put a little bit of pressure. Yeah. And it comes out too, man. I've had some families in my office going, "Oh my God, I cannot believe how much gas is coming out of him right now." And it helps. It really gets it out. It really helps to work. The other thing that I find really helps too is put them on their belly.
Yes, I was going to say that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do some tummy time. Put them on their belly. Help get that gas moving.
Yeah. I think that can help too. That helps with grown-ups too. I mean, you can do that. You can just lay on the bed.
I know. I had my kids one time do the bicycle legs for me because I just had one of those gassy stomach pain cramps, and I'm like, just move my legs, and they're looking at me. They're like, "Are you serious right now?" Come on. It was 2 years ago. It wasn't even that long ago.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they were just like, the looks on their faces, like they each had a leg, the twins, they each had a leg, and they're like moving it in and out. They're like, are you done now? Can we stop?
Oh my God. I one of my friends in high school, he was having like chest pains or something, or some pain, some really extreme pain. His parents were like freaking out, and it was just going on. It was getting stronger and stronger, and they brought him to the hospital, and they did all these tests, and they're like, yeah, we think he's just really gassy. And so he like fell asleep in the hospital and just farted all night.
Oh my God.
They said they were in the room and he just farted all night.
Is that actually laughing at you saying talking about farting? Yeah.
Yeah. See? You got a good fart story. It's popular in this house.
Yeah. But you got to get that gas out. So that is why your baby might be fussy.
But you also don't have to freak out because it will come out.
Yeah.
You don't have to like work on it and like freak out about it.
Yeah.
And like start hurting your baby. Like don't start doing like massive abdominal compressions or something.
Or take him to the emergency room. You don't
have to take him to the hospital.
Yeah. Some people will do like the grape water or those gas drops, the Mylicon drops.
Yeah.
And did you ever do those? I get mixed reaction out of those.
The only thing that I'm hesitant about that is because of their gut forming. Mm-hmm. And so you have a young baby who is supposed to be just getting exclusively breastfed and just breast milk in their stomach so that their gut and their vital organs can develop properly. Develop.
Just develop. That's what we want.
And then you're putting something else in there too. And then it's, I just feel like that's not pure breast milk.
Right.
It's like the same. I feel like it's the same reason as like that we don't give like water or orange juice or feed solids too young. Mm-hmm. Because you just want that breast milk in their stomach. Not like it's going to, not that it's going to cause any deformities in their vital organs, but it's just the ideal is to exclusively breastfeed.
And I don't know that there's really any research to show that those things actually work.
Exactly. I don't think there's any evidence that it's actually working. I think it's marketing.
Yeah.
I think these companies, they hit on things, they find things that are bothering parents and bothering, problems that we're having, and they profit from it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think it's similar to the, I went to a baby expo like a few years ago, and this company had invented like a little straw thing that you could insert into their anus.
What?
And yes.
I think I saw that now that you mention it.
Yeah, I won't say the company name just because I don't mean to like bash the company. Cause there's no reason to. I just don't like, I don't think that's a good idea, to be like inserting things in there. I know some people, I think like old school people would put like a Q-tip or something and try to like get it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like create an opening. But that's also not going to help them. Oh, this straw thing also, it made a whistling sound when the gas came out so that you would quote, know it was working.
Oh my God.
And I just think that's not a good idea to insert things into people's anuses. And I mean, unless you're grown up, then you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But you don't into a baby, and also I think there's some concern there that they get reliant on it too. And their body needs to learn how to fart.
Right.
Just let them learn how to fart. Because then the more you do it for them, the more if you stick anything in there and let it out, then they're just not figuring it out. They're not building up there's like muscles and stuff to build up down there.
I think so, yeah. It's just there's so much. There's like you said, the marketing piece.
Yeah,
is like it's huge, and moms will ask me about, oh, well, do these drops work? Or I tried those colic drops, or I did this grape water, which I don't even know what grape water really is.
I don't even know what it's made out of. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not. It's like, and I think if you look, I think it's not even. I don't think it's really anything. I think it's like water and
chamomile. I don't even know
something. It's not. No. It's not like a prescription or anything. It's
No, not at
I'm gonna
all.
look it up.
And I'm like, you know what? Some people tell me that they really think it works, and some people said that it never worked. Like, I don't think there is a magic fix, but we want one. We want this magic fix to...
Well, we do. Yeah, right. Because it's also like, it's so annoying when your baby's gassy and upset about it. I mean,
but it's a process, you know? I mean, it's when your kid gets older and they get sick, it's not, you know, it's not convenient, and we feel horrible because we don't want them to have a cold or whatever. But like, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. And when they're older, they might not cry, but they'll whine at you constantly. I don't feel good. And it's like, you know, like, what are you going to do? But this is how they're communicating to you. They're just trying to get that gas out. And
they're just telling you that they need to fart. You can just say, okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
But however you can, you know, just do something to try to calm them, and, you know, bounce on the yoga ball, do something like that. Probiotics, though. Those sometimes are a really good thing to try, because...
Well, yes, that's true. And that's also something that you don't necessarily want to start like right away. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to start that right away.
Right.
Right. Like,
now
because you have...
What was that?
I don't know. I swear to God, I just heard a fart.
Oh my God.
What does that sound?
It's like,
oh my God, there's a weird sound coming from somewhere.
In the walls.
What is that? Oh my God, I think my husband's shaver turned on.
Oh my God.
In the bathroom somehow. Oh my God, that is so creepy.
That is creepy.
Okay. Probiotics. Yeah. What are we talking about? Because I mean, the breast milk also has these properties.
Yes. So the breast milk also has the properties. The only time when I don't really usually think to say, oh, is a baby on a probiotic? Sometimes people just do it automatically or whatever. But if mom is on an antibiotic for whatever reason, which happens often during their breastfeeding relationship, then that might be a time where you notice that your baby is getting more fussy or gassy, or, you know, gastro issues or things like that, because those antibiotics can really tear up that gut flora. So that might be a time where mom needs a probiotic if she's not taking one, and you can consider one for the baby too. Now, that being said about the antibiotics, that made me remember that there are also other things that can make babies pretty gassy that we don't think about necessarily, or fussy. And that could be random things that you are taking that you do not realize can impact your baby.
Yeah.
I find that a lot with herbals. And I know a lot of times people find the herbal, you know, they use different herbals for different things, and, you know, they're really comfortable with that, and they really like it, and they, you know, better than medication. But for babies, some of that stuff is really bothersome to them because their system is not as strong as ours is.
Yeah. So we talk about like food, like there's a lot of the stuff that goes around, like you said before, like broccoli, you know, broccoli makes babies very gassy. So what do you think about that?
I think it's crap.
Like, I think it's, So, I mean, the food that we're eating is kind of like normal. Like, that's a normal thing for your body to have. And so, therefore, like, it, like, logically wouldn't necessarily affect your breast milk very much. But when you're talking about, like, herbal supplements or herbal anything, we're talking about, you know, yes, it's natural. Yes, it's all of that. But it's extremely high doses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you look, you know, you say, oh, I'm taking a, no, I don't know. I don't want to say anything specific because then people will start freaking out. But, you know, like you're taking an herbal supplement for something. And then you look at the ingredients and there's, you know, 250 milligrams of like whatever in there, which would be the equivalent of 90 gallons of broccoli. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a high dosage that then can and you know, not then logically would affect your baby.
There is one specific herbal that I'm thinking of that people use very regularly when they're breastfeeding. And
can I say it?
If you would like to.
Is it fenugreek?
It is.
Okay.
And it has a higher fiber content to it, which will make babies more gassy and moms.
And so what's
they don't realize that.
Yeah. Okay. So it makes moms and babies gassy. So what is the reason, generally the reason people take fenugreek is because they want to increase milk supply. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so what's the evidence around that? Is there any evidence that it actually does increase milk supply?
There's very limited evidence around it. So and I look it up like every once in a while, I will look it up just to see if there's anything new. Because it's just one of those wives' tales that will not go away. And people like will just throw it out there and be like, well, oh, do you have low supply? You should just take this, not knowing anything about the person or anything about their history or if it's really a low supply issue or any of that stuff.
Or doing all the other things that you're supposed to be doing in order to maintain a normal milk supply.
Exactly. So the actual research behind it shows that in some studies, milk supply did increase in the very beginning of lactation, like the first week or the first 2 weeks. And after that, it made no difference. And those are very limited studies. The rest of the studies show that it's very inconclusive, that there's really nothing that shows that it really does work. So my theory on it, because of course you do hear people say, oh my gosh, I took fenugreek and it worked great for me. I saw an increase right away. And I almost feel like those people maybe didn't really have a true milk supply problem, you know? But I think and anybody that I know that's taken it that really does have a milk supply problem, they've been like, I took that fenugreek for so long and nothing ever happened. Except I smelled like maple syrup and I got really gassy. And
my friend took it too. She said she smelled terrible.
Yeah. So I don't find that it worked. And it can actually interfere with other things that you might be taking for real medical reasons. So that's another thing that really concerns me about those two. But they can cause the babies to be more gassy. And I've seen that happen time and time and time again. Sometimes the protein shakes, I've seen that too, can make babies really fussy. And that's because there's so much like those, just any kind of like protein shake or anything like that. And a lot of moms will be like, I really want to just be able to drink this because it's easy and I'm busy and I forget to eat. And, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you really have to be careful of what's in it. Because
and again, you're looking at the ingredients and you're saying the same thing, is that it's like these ingredients are in such high concentrations in there that you're actually drinking.
Yeah. You're
drinking really high amounts of whatever's in there.
Yeah. And the one thing that I found to be really, really troublesome was like, if moms are taking these protein shakes and it's very high in certain vitamins, fat soluble vitamins, and then they're taking their prenatal on top of it, because we always tell moms, keep taking your prenatal when you're breastfeeding. Yeah. And those fat soluble, and you've got fat soluble vitamins and those prenatals, you've got fat soluble vitamins in high volumes in these protein shakes. And now you've got to get a baby who cannot process all of that because it's too much. And they will be so fussy. So fussy and uncomfortable. And I always, when moms tell me that they have a super gassy baby or their baby's just so fussy, I will kind of go through all that just to make sure that like we're not missing anything. Because if they are taking something, are they taking anything? Sometimes if you say, oh, you're taking something, they go, no, because they think that you mean a medication.
Right. Prescription. Yeah.
But anything. And these, I mean, I looked up, there was one girl who sent me all this stuff. She wanted to start taking all these supplements that she had taken before she got pregnant. And I looked them all. I mean, I looked the ingredients up of all of them, and there were things in there that looked to be very, very innocent. Things like seaweed extract and, you know, stuff like that. And looking it up and researching it, it said, you know, this could be toxic in infants, but nobody knows at what level.
Right.
So that's concerning because you don't know how much in herbals that you're actually taking. You know, they're not regulated. So how do you know what's in there?
Exactly. And I think the fact that they're labeled herbal, they're not regulated by the FDA, they're, you know, and so we think of things being regulated by the FDA as things like prescription drugs, you know, things that people actually shy away from more when they're breastfeeding, that are actually
safe,
that are actually totally safe to take while you're breastfeeding. And then we have the herbal stuff and the stuff that's not regulated. We think, oh, well, this is safe stuff. This is natural stuff. And so this is safe for me to take, when actually there is some evidence that it's not always.
Right. Yeah. So you just have to really kind of be cautious and aware. And if you start taking something, even if you think it's totally innocent, my friend took this fenugreek and she thought, maybe I should take it for my milk supply. But you can kind of go back and go, okay, that's kind of when the baby started to really become more fussy. Or, like this is when, like, really break it down in your mind if you have a baby that's fussy and you're not sure why this is happening. If it's a situation, and I ask moms this too, like, is it only certain times of the day? If it's only certain times of the day, that might not be a gas thing. That might just be a fussy thing. It might not be gassy at all. Are they gassy and not getting it out? Like, are they gassy and once you help them, they can get it out? One of my moms, oh my God, it was so funny. She was saying, she goes, my baby keeps waking up more at night. And her baby at this point was like, I don't know, 5 months or something. And I said, well, she goes, I think it's gas. He's waking from gas. And I go, is it bothering him? She goes, no, he's actually like farting, but it's so loud that I think it's waking him up. And I go, so he's learning how to pass it. And she goes, yeah, like, cause he wasn't doing that before. So like they get to a point where they figure it out and they get it. I mean, they can get it out on their own.
Yeah.
It might take them a little time, but they can figure it out. And then they start to embarrass you in public. Just the way it is. Just the way it goes.
That's how it goes. Yep.
But don't ever think that it's something that you're eating or something that you're doing, or I know that like when your baby's fussy and upset, and even when and I do this even with my teenagers, they're upset about something and I'm like, oh my gosh, it must be my fault. Like I must have done something.
Yeah.
It must somehow be my fault. But try to really take a step back from that. And it's not, this is just kind of the natural progression of your baby figuring out their system. Because their system is immature and new and has to work out the kinks. And we're glad, you know what? If they have gas and they're getting it out get it out, because we're glad all that stuff works.
Yeah. And so because I mean, there's going to be, so this is the other thing that happens. People go to their pediatrician and they're like, my baby's really fussy. And then they're like, well, it's because they're allergic to lactose, they're allergic to dairy, they're allergic to whatever. You have to stop drinking milk, and or you have to give them this sensitive bellies formula. Is there ever a time when a mom needs to go like dairy free for her baby if she chooses? I have dietary restrictions for personal reasons, not for breastfeeding.
Right. And I do have some mothers that have dietary restrictions for personal reasons, but I see mothers being told that a lot, and I don't see that the reason is legitimate most of the time. I would say if 50% of the time mothers are being told to give up dairy, it's legitimate maybe 10% of that time, And some moms will say to me, the baby was really gassy, so I gave up dairy and I found that it really helped. And I'm like, all right, whatever. If you think it helped, okay.
All right.
And you're comfortable with that, and you're fine doing it.
The mom probably felt better.
Right.
Right. She gave up dairy, which is a known, thing that can upset your stomach and your body, and she gave it up and she felt better.
Right.
So that's possible. But it's very unlikely. I mean, it's very unlikely that your baby was allergic to the dairy coming out of your breast milk.
Right. Yeah. No, that doesn't happen as much. If it does happen, and this actually came up as a situation very recently with one of my families, because the baby had reflux or whatever, and they sent her to a GI specialist who tested the poop and said there's trace blood. You have to either give up soy and dairy, or you have to put them on this specialized formula. So then she comes to me and she's like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, well, first of all, let me do a little research on it. But he has no symptoms of having a problem with dairy like none.
Yeah.
So usually what you might see a rash, you might see a lot of throwing up, you might see green poop, runny poop, mucusy, visible blood, like streaks of visible blood in their poop, like things like that. That might tell me, okay, there's something that the baby's having a hard time digesting. But to just kind of say the baby's fussy and gassy, oh, okay, let's eliminate dairy. That's a huge piece. And I mean, maybe you don't even like it because like I don't drink milk at all, but I do eat yogurt and I do like cheese. So like those can be a big part of somebody's diet that you're now telling them to completely eliminate. And it's in everything. Like dairy is in a lot of things. So
Yes,
now
it
you've
is.
turned yourself into this breastfeeding, crazy label reading. I can't eat anything. I need to cook everything. You know, I need to have everything specialized for me. Like motherhood
Right.
isn't hard enough.
Right. Right. And if you're choosing to do that, fine.
Right.
But if you're being told that you have to do that because your baby is, you know, has all these symptoms, then then consult a lactation consultant.
Yes, please do. Because sometimes those symptoms can mean something different. And we talked about that in oversupply. So go back to oversupply, which was a couple weeks ago, and listen to that one. Because a lot of times oversupply can look like dairy allergies.
And then if the doctor's like, okay, quick fix, give up dairy, you know, then we're not actually treating what's actually going on.
Right.
You know, because if they are having like, they're probably just being a normal baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
exactly.
if there's other things going on, then.
And with that mom, I told her, I said, you know, let me do a little research on this because the quick preliminary research that I was doing showed that there are giving these little, you know, stool testing that they do to check for blood. A lot of them come up positive falsely. A lot of them do. So then she went back to her regular pediatrician who tested 3 samples and found nothing. And she's like, I'm so glad I listened to my gut on that. And I'm like, I am too, because I really, really did not think anything was wrong.
Yeah.
You know? So it really, if the baby's gassy, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to give up this food, or I need to do this, or I need to completely alter my lifestyle, like definitely talk to somebody about it first. That's like legitimately knows. Like you can contact us, call a lactation consultant, do something. But if you get on like a Facebook group and you're like some random person says, oh my gosh, take this wonderful medication, it'll fix everything. Maybe be a little bit leery of that.
Yeah, if you go on the internet and you go into a Facebook group and you're like, my baby's really fussy and people, you know, the most common answer is probably going to be like, well, I gave up dairy and everything was fixed. And like, it's not
a fix-all for everybody.
I mean, I hear that all the time about like, I had to give up dairy. I had to do this. My baby's lactose intolerant, you know, all these things. And like, if the answer to whatever the problem is that you're having with breastfeeding, if the answer being presented to you is a major lifestyle change, then I would see that as a red flag. Because it's not right. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to somebody else about it.
Because that's not what that's not what goes on.
No.
The whole point is that breastfeeding is biologically normal. You know, with the help of a lactation consultant who knows how to just fix the little tweaks if you're having problems, and if with just understanding babies a little more, it just goes. Breastfeeding just happens without major lifestyle changes.
Right. It shouldn't be as difficult as people make it.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't. For the majority of the time. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it gets difficult sometimes, but I mean, in general, it's not.
Right.
It's not complicated.
So if you have a gassy baby, help them get those sparkles out. Figure out what makes it work. They just want to sparkle. They just want to sparkle.
Don't we all?
I know. We all just want to sparkle and not be judged. That's it. But tune in next week. We are going to talk to you about babies that don't or won't latch. Everybody's favorite topic next to sparkling is babies that won't latch.
Gassy babies and my baby won't latch.
Baby won't latch. So we will talk to you about that next week.
Bye.
Bye.